Alex here with part 2 of Repzion's X. I am not putting this video in any category. In fact, I'm going to take part 1 out of the high conflict child custody category, even though it's a high conflict situation. They don't have kids, and it doesn't seem like kids are at issue. Still very relevant for the channel, though, and I'm sure that you guys will care about, what's going on with this case, especially since I'm hoping that more YouTubers talk about this stuff and bring the issue to the forefront. So, let me switch over. Just a reminder, these documents, which contain the real names of the YouTuber, were self-disclosed by the YouTuber himself, so normally I wouldn't do something like this. He is a public figure, but it's not really why I made the proper person channel. But anyway, as I was saying, he put these two documents out. The document in part 1 was a motion to set aside default, and this document here is a complaint. As far as I know, based on me watching his video, it's a complaint alleging defamation and defamation claims, so there may be a variety of them. And I guess we can get started. Comes now Daniel and Jamie, which must be his girlfriend, his new girlfriend. They hired the same law firm. It looks like the first page is devoted to allegations concerning the people involved, which is to my guess would be so that they can establish personal jurisdiction. If you want to know more about that, watch my video on the topic, personal jurisdiction. Also, I have a video on the topic, complaint. I think they're both under legal nuts and bolts. So yeah, identifying the names, where they reside, that's probably to establish venue. So if you want to learn more about that, watch my legal nuts and bolts video on the topic venue. Causes of action arise, Washington State statutory and common law. Subject matter jurisdiction is established based on what he says, statutory and common law principles, and those will be addressed later on down in the complaint. Venue, unlike jurisdiction, is the specific court within the jurisdiction, and he's saying it's King County because the activities complained of occurred in King County. There's general principles like this in Nevada as well, with statutes that define venue or explain how venue is determined. And he's citing a couple of Washington statutes here. He's a YouTube creator with over 762,000 subscribers, posting on YouTube under the pseudonym Repzion. He's going into the romantic relationship. He's talking about love bombing already. It's an odd allegation. I'm not sure how it's relevant. Maybe it's to establish... I don't know why you'd have to allege that. That is a little odd. Okay, let's keep going. Frequently and viciously abused him emotionally and physically. I guess maybe maybe the strategy here is to argue that everything that she's saying is what she actually did to him, to perhaps, I don't know, bolster the case. Savagely abused him, and so it looks like he's going into examples of the abuse, including the dates and times. Right away, it's weird to see pictures in a complaint. I've never seen that before. I don't know if that's okay in Washington. That's a little odd. Pictures they would go through the evidentiary process and be submitted as exhibits, and then whether or not the court admits them as evidence is a question of sometimes fact and law, sometimes just law. It is really weird to see these in a complaint. In Nevada, I've never seen it before, so I think I've heard of it happening before, though. One of the things that I wonder about doing this is maybe it creates an out for the person to deny the allegation. So the words in the allegation may be true, but the person may have issues with the photos used and may deny the allegation based on that. That's one of the reasons I'd be like, maybe he wants this to be picked up by the media, which is not good. Usually judges don't like when people do that. In fact, we had a recent hearing, Terza Matthews versus Marilyn York in the Our Nevada Judges channel. Most recent hearing, District Court Judge Egan Walker struck the entire complaint because he felt like the complaint was not addressed to him. He felt like the complaint was addressed to the public or the news media. And there's a court rule that he cited saying that it was improper to do so, and he struck the whole complaint. I'm sorry to it's that weird for me to see this that's why I'm going into this tangent, and I'll stop now. More photos, it looks like. I wonder if there's anyone who practices law in Washington that can post down in the comments to say whether or not this is normal. text message back and forth. I don't like to get into the weeds of this stuff. I mean, for the most part, people use text messages to show that the other person's admitting stuff. Yeah, so he's like, "Hey, you were physically abusive," and she's like, "I know that, and I live in guilt." So, like, this is pretty standard stuff. Is people will take out the text messages and emails where they're like, "Hey, look, they're admitting that they did things that are wrong to me." I mean, I guess it has some effectiveness. I'm not sure that it's a 100% silver bullet, because a lot of times when something gets to court, people will say that they just wanted to like move past something to like get into the relationship, and that they'll admit things that aren't true just for like to extend an olive branch and stuff like that. So these, like, to the public, these might seem like silver bullets, but in a courtroom they usually aren't, though they are helpful and they are relevant, and sometimes the jury will be swayed by them. But yeah, and this is another thing, like, you can include these in here, and then somebody might just deny the allegation for some kind of evidentiary reason, and that's just one of the reasons why I wouldn't do that. So, another way that I've seen people do this is they'll attach exhibits to the complaint. That's actually more common, and hopefully when you do that, it doesn't affect whether or not somebody denies the allegation because they disagree with it, because it's not really embedded in the allegation, it's just attached as an exhibit. But there's reasons why exhibits are weird in complaints too, and I talk about that in the video, the complaint, with very rare exceptions like the medical expert affidavit. Very, very rare exceptions. Fourth and final instance of abuse. Noticed something on her phone, confronted her, she exploded in a fit of rage. Ew, gross stuff. Just mental health, crazy people stuff in here. I'm not going to repeat it so the video doesn't get yellow flagged by YouTube. Choking. More gross stuff. Mental health breaks. Yeah, so here's another admission of guilt. That's why he's including these messages. Threats to destroy the apartment with a baseball bat. Another thing that's odd is listing these allegations out like this. If even one of these is wrong, the allegation will be denied. I would separate these out into separate allegations and see if you get lucky and they admit some of them. Packing things up to leave. This is standard stuff that people go through when they're with an ex that has certain personality disorders. And then he's talking about the new relationship and the incessant campaign of smearing. So I think this is going to go along with what I talk about in the video, Your New Partner. It's a high conflict child custody video, and it explains how when you get into your new relationship, the high conflict ex goes bananas. I haven't even read this, and I suspect that's, yeah. So he posts a picture of his new girlfriend. Immediately after it, she starts publishing false statements. So there's the timing. Over 5,000 false statements about them both. Provably false. Stole 3 years of life, ruined relationships. A lot of this is about the new relationship, but there are some things in here where he's indicating motive. I mean, it's just basically jaded ex. I mean, that's angry that you split up and move on. That's what all of this stuff is. It goes into the details of the very specific defamatory statements. Some of it's grooming, some of it's psychological, some of it's physical abuse, some of it's mental. Kind of like the vibe that I'm getting as I read through these is that he's trying to say that she sort of rewriting history now that he's moved on and he found someone new. She's going from apologizing to like retroactively altering the last 3 years of their relationship and just recharacterizing everything. Basically, this person must be a really bad person. I mean, like, it's kind of, I kind of understand where this, like, in their head, it's like I'm not a bad person because they don't accept blame for anything that they do. They're like always right. They're never wrong. In their public persona, they can apologize privately if it means. I mean, they talk about this in like with narcissistic personality disorder, they call it hoovering, and like that's when the apologies come out, and then they go away once you're like pulled back in. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is this idea is that they like are a perfect person, and the other person, for leaving them a perfect person, must be evil in some way. And so like they like reframe everything in their mind. Since this person should not have left me because I'm good, the fact that they did leave me means that there's something wrong with them, and like all of a sudden I'm going to find all the things that are wrong with them, and those things need to be known by everyone so that everyone knows that the person that left, or that I left, I mean, I think that's probably what's going to end up happening in the story, is he's saying that he left her, but she's going to start saying that she like ditched him or whatever. Like it's just a sort of a reframing of everything that's going on so that they can make sense of the breakup in a way that they're still the good guy, and that the consequences of that requires smearing the other person's name. I'm getting that vibe from reading these allegations. I'm not reading them all verbatim, guys, because I'll be here for probably an hour, and then I'll lose my voice. So if you're watching this without, or if you're listening to me, you should probably watch this too so you can see the pages that I'm on, because I'm skimming through most of this stuff. I'm not seeing any points of law yet, which is one of the big reasons that I'm skimming. Evidence, harassment, and stalking. Grooming, lots of grooming. Grooming. She's saying that defendant posts to Twitter. So, okay, these are things that would concern people, but Repzion is saying that these things aren't true. Another assertion that's not true. It looks like some kind of incident of violence involving shooting. I don't know anything about this. I mean, I don't know if he needs to go through all of this. It's like, guys, I'm kind of back where I started. Like, how is this relevant to the claims? You can prove all of these things at trial. I don't think you need them in the complaint. Maybe he's going for like punitive damages or something, and he's gonna argue that the reason that she did something that was malicious is because of this background. Maybe he feels like he I don't think this is necessary in a complaint. Super detailed. Which is these are supposed to be, I think, a short, plain statement of allegations that support the claims that you feel you're entitled to relief. All of these details usually come out in discovery. Sometimes they're relevant in summary judgment motions and stuff. And then, of course, at trial, when you're presenting to the jury, or if it's a bench trial, just to the judge, it's kind of like overkill for a complaint. At least here. Again, if there's somebody from Washington, post down in the comments if you think this is a pretty common thing there and that's normal. Maybe even it's required. In Nevada, there are certain types of claims that you have to go into the details, like fraud is one of them. The rules of civil procedure say that you have to go into details. So again, he's listing all of these under a single allegation. If even one of these is wrong, they'll just deny the whole allegation. I would have broken these apart. Even the I probably wouldn't have even put these in here. Made malicious. Okay, malice. That's what I was talking about. So in Nevada, malice is one of the three things that you can show to get punitive damages. So maybe that's where all of this additional effort is going. Apparently, she sells stuff on OnlyFans content. Oh, yeah. So now she's saying she broke up with him. Wait. Huh. Okay. I mean, I was right about that. I think based on that, I think that's what he's saying. So he's saying here that he's saying here that she sent him a voice note saying that she accused him of being abusive so she could get more subscribers on OnlyFans. Wow. I mean, if he has that, that's not good for her. That's a really, like, not only are you saying that you made a defamatory statement, but you're saying that you did it for profit. That's like so bad. No wonder she filed for bankruptcy to try to stop this lawsuit. That's going to be really bad for her. If all of this stuff is true, I bet she doesn't even file an answer and that he just defaults her. And he doesn't ever get his day in court. He'll just get a default judgment. So this must be the thing that had to do with the incident of the squirrel. So I guess Repzion has property where he has livestock, and squirrels sometimes get into his property, and he shot one of the squirrels with a BB. And then she called, it looks like the Fish and Wildlife, Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. Based on what he says in his video, he didn't get in trouble because he didn't go out and track the squirrel down. There's an exception in the law that says if the, what do they call them? I don't know if they call them pest or vermin or something like that. If they go onto your property and they're posing a threat to your property, then you can shoot them. And that's probably very similar in most states. They probably distinguish between going out to hunt animals versus having like a farm or a ranch or something like that, and certain animals coming onto your property. Like that's different from hunting. I would understand that that's probably what most states have, and that's what he described in the video. So it looks like there's an allegation that they made a call to CPS. This is one of the easiest ways people will get an award of damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress, is calling CPS like this if it's not true. So we got defamation per se by all plaintiffs against defendant Moore. Okay, so that might be another reason that he went into malice, because even though that's a way you can get punitive damages, he might be setting up to deal with the fact that he's a public figure. Because you can't, in Nevada, this is the standard. In Nevada, if you say something defamatory, there's two different standards. If you say something defamatory to a regular person, it's easier for you to end up losing your lawsuit. If you say something defamatory against a public figure, typically people think of like a politician, then the standard is a lot higher. You have to say it with what they call actual malice and reckless disregard. And the fact that this is here makes me think that he's basically going to treat himself as a public figure, which is probably what would happen because he's a YouTuber. Here's the emotional distress. Humiliation, shunning, avoiding, subject to ridicule. harmed caused to his reputation, lowering him in the estimation of the community, deter third persons from associating. This is all really common stuff that happens when you get defamed. Presumed damages. I've heard this before with defamation per se. There are certain things that somebody can say that are considered per se defamatory. I haven't really done a lot of research on it, but my understanding is that if you do certain things, they're considered defamation per se, and you don't have to go into particular details to see what the damages are. You just are assumed damaged. This is false light. I almost always see this thrown in with a defamation complaint or defamation claim. False light is a tricky. I don't know all of the details of false light either. I'm going to see if anything jumps out at me as remarkable as I go through this claim. Sorry, as I go through this cause of action. Yeah, there isn't a lot of detail there. Here is outrage. I've never heard of that before. Cause of action for outrage. Outrageous conduct. Extreme and outrageous conduct made with the intentional or reckless infliction of emotional distress. So maybe that's what they call intentional infliction of emotional distress in Washington. Oh no, here's here. I don't know what outrage is. Maybe it's something specific to Washington. Here's the intentional infliction of emotional distress cause of action. And by incorporating all of the allegations before, it's supporting this cause of action. Negligent infliction. So instead of intentional infliction, we've got negligent infliction. And it's just taking all the prior allegations. It kind of makes sense of some of the stuff about their breakup now. Some of these. Assault. To cause fear and apprehension of injury. Battery. Well, that would be the physical attacks on him. Trespass to chatels. Oh, so she kept some of his stuff. My ex did this too. Nuisance. Reports to government institutions. Oh, there must be a very specific way to get a nuisance award in Washington, citing the statute here, is that if somebody makes false reports, you can go after them for nuisance. Civil conspiracy. This might have to do with all of her friends. This makes me suspect that he might loop in a bunch of her friends who participated in all of this stuff. And what will happen is, as they go through discovery, he'll inquire as to all of these people who were coordinating with her. He might even be able to get messages and stuff and loop them into the lawsuit and hit them all with civil conspiracy. That would make this lawsuit interesting to me. All the other stuff is kind of annoying. It's just two people who can't get along. I'm not saying he isn't entitled to relief. It's just kind of, it's annoying to me. It probably is annoying to the court. It'll definitely be annoying to a jury. But this last part with all these people she got involved or allegedly got involved, that would make the lawsuit interesting, and it would add in a bunch of defendants, and it would probably teach people to stop white knighting and all this other stuff. I think it would be worthy for electronic coverage, similar to the Johnny Depp trial. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. I guess that's everything. He's asking for all the damages for post-judgment interest, for pre-judgment interest, attorney fees, costs pursuant to the law. Same lawyer. I don't think that, I mean, the thing that I think I question is the pictures and going into all those particular details. There may be something in Washington that says that for one of those causes of action you have to do that. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. The part that he's concerned he's a public figure and has to show actual malice, maybe that supports it. I don't know. But including the pictures is the only thing that really jumped out to me is kind of amateur. And it looks like that's everything. All right, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to post them down in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.